Everybody, it's your boy Carlos here,
And Joseph.
and this is the
The
passenger
passenger
seat.
seat.
Welcome back to the passenger seat. Hopefully, you guys are having good holidays and you enjoy them even further when it ends. Speaking about the holidays, what better to celebrate Christmas and the holidays than eating, right? Everybody loves food, especially
Yes.
Christmas food, which is something that's really like big. And maybe obviously we don't have information of all Christmas foods, so we're just gonna generalize it.
Right. Before we get into that, though, what do you think is better, Christmas food or Thanksgiving food?
That's hard, but I think because of pumpkin pie, I'm gonna have to give it to Thanksgiving. Just because I love pumpkin pie so much.
Well, here's the thing. I think typically, if we would have grown up in the U.S., and I don't mean to generalize this, but just saying, like, if we were having typical Christmas dinners in the U.S., I choose Thanksgiving. But since we grew up in Puerto Rico, having the Christmas dinners here makes me choose Christmas over Thanksgiving.
Okay, no disrespect. Obviously, Puerto Rican food, man.
Yeah.
I just pumpkin pie. It just always fucking wins. I'm sorry.
I feel you. It is pretty good. So we're going to be talking about typical U.S. Or typical, I guess, Christmas dinners done in the U.S. We're also going to be talking about typical Christmas dishes that are done in Puerto Rico.
Essentially, the Christmas foods that we've only had.
Yep, pretty much. I heard that in Japan or Korea they do Kentucky Fried Chicken for Christmas.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know that now they have like a fake fried chicken, like for vegans. Interesting, huh? Anyways, we're just gonna go ahead and go, I guess, into it. Maybe I don't know if you want to do it list style or you want to go back and forth.
So I think we should do, mention each dish and then rate them from 1 to 5. And typical Christmas dishes in the U.S., I don't think they need too much explaining. For the ones from Puerto Rico, then I think we'll explain a little bit more, just so people can have an idea of what things are.
True. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So do you want to start?
Okay. We'll start with the good U.S. of A. I guess we'll start with a main dish, and I guess they eat ham. It's glazed honey ham.
Glazed honey ham. Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong. Like, okay, I guess like it's really good. I think I've tried it like once. It's not that bad. They just like if you eat it with a family. I'm not gonna say anything specific, but who doesn't know how to season, then it just doesn't taste that good.
Okay, I agree. Personally, I don't like that type of ham. Yeah, I personally don't really love ham, so yeah, it's not my favorite dish. If I had to score from 1 to 5, I'd give it a 2.
We're doing 1 to 5.
Yeah.
Oh, then I'll put it in the middle. I'll probably put it at 3.
Okay, so a total of 5. That's fair. All right, so what's your next U.S. dish?
Oh, I guess we're gonna have to go like this is like a staple for people who live in the U.S. and that's mashed potatoes and gravy, which it's just average. Like I feel like mashed potatoes and gravy is not just Christmas, like people eat it like all year round with different dishes.
That's true. Yeah, I feel what you mean. You can get pretty much mashed potatoes and gravy anywhere.
Yeah, it's an original. That's one thing. It definitely gives it like it's a dish that everybody knows. Yeah. I personally am going to have to give it a 1 simply because I don't like gravy.
Fair. You know what? Fair. If it's the traditional like brownish kind of gravy, Yeah, I've had like meat gravies before or like sausage gravies. But yeah, if you're right, if it's like the typical mashed potato with like that brownish gravy, I'd also give it a 1. I'm not a big fan of that gravy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, gravy's down. Damn. Okay.
Gravy brought it down,
Uh,
man. Mashed potatoes are great, but the gravy just kills it for me.
See, that's the thing. How you can't say no to mashed potatoes, but then when you put the gravy on top, I'm like, okay.
Kills it for me, for sure.
um, Obviously, we have your dishes of vegetables, which either are green beans and carrots. I think something at some dish to put alongside your ham and mashed potatoes, or it's gonna be like green beans and vegetables.
Eh, I mean, pretty plain. I'd say you can get carrots and green peas all year round, and you have that all year round with anything.
No, it's true. It is.
It's not like
Uh,
roasted chestnuts, you know.
hey, that's a good one.
So yeah, roasted chestnuts. See that was one that should go in there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess honestly, it's green peas and vegetables. It's for me. It's got to be up there because it's always tastes like, for me at least, it's always the same taste. It's green vegetables, green beans. Like, so I gotta give it a 4.
I like green beans. I like carrots. Sweet carrots, even better. Depends on what you do with the carrots. Maybe you could glaze them with a little bit of honey, or maybe brown sugar. Do something interesting with them. I'd give it a 3.
Okay. And here's one of the other side pieces, which is a classic, and that is cranberry sauce.
Oh, I love cranberry sauce, but I feel like that's more of like that's more of a Thanksgiving thing.
Yeah, it does feel sort of like a Thanksgiving thing, at least in our mind, at least. Maybe for in the U.S., it's like they use it for both.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I love cranberry sauce. If I had to give that a rating, I'd give it a 4. Maybe I wouldn't push it up to a 5. It'd be a 4 for sure.
I definitely give it a 4 too, because I just I can't go that wrong with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Plus, there's no prep required. I've never had like cranberry sauce made from scratch. Who knows? That might be amazing. If anyone's tried that, please comment below if it's way better than canned cranberry sauce. But yeah,
I guess we'll move on to, since we've gone on to the main dish, side dishes that go along with the main dish. Go with the dessert that you usually have, and that is usually a pie. Maybe even like, I guess the most used would be like apple pie.
Apple pie, yeah. Oh,
which
man.
is tradition. I mean, you think America, apple pie, it's like
a national treasure for the United States, and I agree. It's that good. If you have someone who can make an apple pie from scratch and they make it good,
with the cinnamon.
Oh, with everything. Ice cream. I think that's one dessert that's really hard to beat. I'd give it good apple pie a 5.
I definitely give it a 5. I feel like apple pie is just one of those things where it's like, if you make it right, you could eat the whole thing.
Exactly. Just all pies in general, but yeah, apple pie is more of a Christmas thing.
And I guess the last one would be like a treat, or like treats in Christmas, which I'm not 100% sure that it's made by the U.S., but it's very popular in the U.S., and that is gingerbread.
Oh,
gingerbread house, gingerbread men, gingerbread this and that.
I do like a gingerbread cookie.
Yeah. I think I have to give that one a 5, actually, because I think gingerbreads are really good, especially if you eat it right when you don't wait, like you eat it hot.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4 based off the gingerbread, and then I'm gonna up it to a 5 because you can decorate them, and that's always fun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's our list for the United States. That side, whatever side you're putting it for food. So I guess we'll go ahead and move on to the Puerto Rican foods and see which one we're probably gonna prefer. But yeah, let's see.
Okay. Starting off with Puerto Rican typical Christmas dishes, we're gonna start off with something called pasteles. Pasteles. I guess the best way to describe this to people who don't know, pasteles are very similar, in a sense, to tamales.
Yeah.
They're made with a masa, not corn masa. It's made with
Plantain.
it's made with green plantains, green bananas, and taro root. And then you mash that into this like sort of pasty masa. And then you can put meat in it and other things like olives, or some people do raisins. And basically you wrap that in a banana leaf and you boil it until it's cooked.
No, you freeze and then you boil it.
Yeah, you're right. Because you have to solidify the masa before throwing it into boil. That's true.
See this is hard for me because I grew up there, so man, you can't go with Christmas without that, man.
Right. And the topic of pasteles here in Puerto Rico is very controversial because there's people, for example, they like them with olives. They don't like them with olives. They like them with raisins. They don't like them with raisins. You can eat them with ketchup. There's some people who are purists and absolutely scorn the fact if you have them with ketchup. And then there's people who like, wing it. Let's eat some with ketchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Con ketchup, sin ketchup.
How do you like yours?
Hot sauce.
Oh yeah, hot sauce, ketchup, and I actually do like raisins in mine. Even though people are gonna, Puerto Rican viewers are probably gonna think me crazy, I absolutely love raisins in my pasteles.
It's fair. Whatever you like, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna give pasteles a. Oh, and by the way, just to throw this out there, I guess I should have said this before. Once you see pasteles, if I'm gonna put a picture up here somewhere. Initially you might think it looks kind of like a turd. Here's the thing. I don't think we have an issue with it so much because, you're sort of like raised into eating this kind of stuff. You don't really question it at a glance. I think people rely on looking, the looks of food when they eat it, and the look of it might throw them off, but the taste is great.
I definitely recommend if anyone is going to visit around Christmas time, one of the things you should definitely try.
Of course, yes. And by the way, the meat that fills that, I don't know if I mentioned it, it's actually pork or chicken. And yeah, it's really, really good. I'd have to give that a 4 out of 5.
I'm going to go with the same.
Okay, cool. Moving on. Another very typical dish here in Puerto Rico is arroz con gandules, or rice with pigeon peas. Basically, it's like the seasoned rice that they put pigeon peas into, and it's very flavorful. Lots of spices, lots of flavorful broth that's used to cook the rice in. And it's very, very good. You can literally sit down and have a whole bowl of stuff. And if you prefer it, sometimes when it's cooked in a pot or in a high heat rice cooker, sometimes you'll get the burnt bottom.
Yeah.
Which we call pegao. And pegao is, I know it sounds weird, but it's absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not really burnt rice, it's more like toasted rice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, with the flavors and stuff, makes it really good. So arroz con gandules for me, I'm actually gonna put that one in the 3. I don't really care if it's there or not. Like, I can eat it, but
I would agree. I'm gonna put it at a 3 simply because arroz con gandules is something that like you get all year.
Yeah.
You're not like waiting for it. It's like you get it all year round. It's still really good, obviously, but you do get it all year round. I put that in a 3.
Nothing to get too excited about, right? The next one is big, and that is pernil. This is pork, and similar to like what the US has, which is ham, this pork is a little bit different because it doesn't really use that part of the meat, which is for ham, I believe, or maybe it's seasoned different, but I don't think it's the same cut of meat of the pork when they do pernil. I think it's more like the rump area of the pig. Very meaty. sort of like a pork chop. It's more like the pork chop side of things, more than
Hmm.
like the ham side of things. And of course, we use a lot of spices. And personally, me and pork go hand in hand. Um, my family my family on my father's side, they'll roast a whole pig for Christmas.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's one of the definitely one of the biggest differences is that the fact that
mhm.
we slow roast.
Yes, we slow roast our pigs usually over a pit, barbecue pit. Um, the way my family does it, they'll dig a hole in the ground the day before or 2 days before. It's a very deep pit. They'll set it up with charcoals. They'll let it burn. And then they'll put the pig on a spit and they'll roast that pig for minimum at least 12 hours.
True. Make a whole
So,
day out of it.
yeah, oh yeah. But trust me and believe me when I say this, anyone who knows barbecue knows that the best barbecue comes by being patient. The more you sit there and you actually, uh, you know, put that effort in for the food for barbecue, that's the result you're gonna get. You're gonna get a very juicy pig, right? Very moist meat with very crispy skin. And trust me, once you have pork the way that we do it here, you probably won't ever go back to like ham. So personally, I'd have to give that a 5. That's a solid 5 for me.
I I understand why you would say 5. I'm gonna go with. I would have to put it in the same category, at least for myself. Not like I'm not talking for all Puerto Ricans, just for myself. I would give it the same as I did with the American ham, and that would be a 3. And that's because I don't eat meat currently. I've been to 2 years as a pescatarian, so that's my opinion. That's the reason I put it at 3 because I know it was delicious because I used to eat it, but like now I wouldn't eat it. So
Right, right, and that's fair. Okay, so moving on. That one was a bit long, but I mean it deserves it. We're gonna
main
talk.
dish.
Yeah. We also do another thing, which again, you can get this most of the stuff you can get year round here in Puerto Rico. We just really emphasize on these things during Christmas. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Ensalada De Cobitos, which is sort of like elbow pasta. And they sort of make it like with mayonnaise and onions and other things. And it is very, very good. You eat it cold, not hot. And yeah, it's very good. Again, a very controversial topic because there's people who like to put apples in it, like they do with potato salad sometimes. Um, and that's always like a conflicting argument.
Yeah, it's definitely. The thing is, it's gonna be blasphemy, but I'm not a big fan. I
Mm,
every time I ate with my families and stuff like that, I never really ate it. Never really liked it. I don't like what's the other one you mentioned? Potato salad either.
oh
Like
man, I
those
love
those
potato salad.
those things just don't do it for me.
Okay, I think the only thing that kills it for me with this elbow pasta is that sometimes they'll use like raw onions, which is I guess the way you're supposed to do it, and I really dislike raw onions. So for me, I'd probably give it a 2.
I was gonna put it too. Yeah.
Mm. All right. So moving on from that, we're going to talk about a couple of the desserts and typical drinks as well. The first one I'm going to start off with is Dembleke, which
Ooh.
Dembleke is like a coconut. I guess the best way to describe this is like a coconut jello, but not really jello, but it's like it has the jello jiggliness, but the consistency of like a pudding.
Yes. Oh, it's the best thing ever.
It is very, very delicious. It's almost like a coconut creaminess. It's not as wet, I want to say, as a pudding because it's a little bit more firm, but it's melts in your mouth. It is so good. It is so delicious. And they serve it with a little bit of cinnamon on top. And yeah, you use it making coconut cream. And then I believe they add condensed milk in there. Um, and yeah, it's just fantastic.
I love it. Absolutely. It's something that I always crave by living here in the States, but I gotta give it a 5. Solid 5. I love it.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 3. Don't get me wrong. I love it, but sometimes they make it way too firm, and it does turn sort of like this really hard gelatinous thing, like hard Jello.
Mm-hmm.
And I dislike that one so much. If they make it super creamy, then I'd give it a 5. But since there's people who do it one way and people who do it the other, I'm gonna have to put it at a 3.
Gotcha.
Okay, next one is tres leches, which is 3 milk cake. And that's, it's basically just a cake, but they pour evaporated milk, condensed milk, and regular milk over it, so the cake becomes super, super moist and super sweet. Personally, I dislike the dryness of cakes. That's the one reason why I don't love cake as much as I could. And it's because it's too dry.
Yeah.
Even with a little bit of, jam or filling of the cake or whatever, it's still really, really dry for me. So I love tres leches because it's super moist and, I get past that whole dryness thing.
I do love the way it tastes, and obviously, like, there's like a good, like, the moisture, like, this makes it very delicious.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I would also have to say that it's one of those things where I can have one slice or piece, and it's just kind of like, it's a lot.
Yeah, it does do that. You don't want to have too much of it, especially because they add whipped cream on top, and then it becomes too overly sweet. So I'm gonna give it a 3 as well.
Yeah, I'll put a 3 there.
Moving on to the final. I'm sorry, not the final one. I don't know how to say that. Anyways, arroz con dulce, and yeah, and this is basically, I guess the translation would be like candied rice.
Yeah, it's like rice pudding.
It's like rice pudding. Yeah, exactly. Very delicious as well. It has hints of like the coconut flavor, and they put raisins in it, and it's super good, super delicious. You eat that super cold as well, not frozen, but you eat it cold. You don't eat that warm at all. And yeah, I'd have to say for me, arroz con dulce it's like I'm gonna put it at a 4.
Blasphemy again. I'm not the biggest fan. I tried it. I keep trying to try it, but it just doesn't do it for me. I would have to give it a 2, just because I'm one of those type of people that's really hard for me to put food with dessert. I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like
I understand. I totally understand. You can't picture something that's supposed to be savory as a sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, you had the hardest time eating rice when you were younger, so
that's true. I hated it.
I don't think rice dessert is your favorite thing. Moving forward, and to finalize the desserts before we get into the typical drink, the last dessert on my list is gonna be flan.
Well, yeah. I think with flan it's just big in Latino America in general.
Yes, that's correct. But they do it differently in Mexico, bro. Listen, I've gone to a couple, authentic Mexican places, and I've tried their flan. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of their flan. I think maybe that's because I'm biased, because I grew up eating the flan here, but I just think that the flan here is so much better. Even though they use the same ingredients, for some weird reason, it tastes better to me, and the consistency is way better to me as well.
Yeah. One of the coolest things that we do is that we had flans of different flavor, which I don't see a lot here. Like, if you go to the store and try to buy flan, you'll never see it with different flavors, but we do a lot of different flavors.
Yes, that's true. We can do coconut, we can do pistachio, we can do, what other flavors?
Chocolate, coffee,
Nutella. Yeah, that's true. Cheese. So yeah,
I know that sounds weird, but
it's cream cheese. It's basically cream cheese.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to give you an idea of flan for those of you who haven't heard of it or tried it, it's basically like a wet cheesecake. And I know that sounds weird. It's not really wet. It's more like covered in like this caramel. Caramel. That's basically what it's covered in. But not like the caramel that is very thick. It's a very thin caramel, and it's just bonkers how delicious flan is. With the consistency, the way we do it here is that of a cheesecake, versus Mexico, where I've seen it's more of like Jello.
It's softer, definitely softer.
Yeah, ours is definitely softer. But yeah, I'd have to give flan a solid 5.
I was gonna say the same thing, dude. Flan is solid 5. I can't help it.
Yeah, it's delicious. I just it can't be beat. I think in my mind. Now, okay.
Before you go on, because I did not give United States their thing, their drink, and I know what you're gonna say. And the United States has something actually that's very similar, but obviously not the same, and that is eggnog.
Eggnog.
Which I've tried it, guys, and I didn't like it.
Yeah. I've tried eggnog too. It's not that it's bad. It's okay. But it's not.
I didn't like it. I didn't like eggnog. I don't know what it was about it, but it's just like the taste just doesn't do it for me.
That's fair. I like it. I'm just not, again, when you have something to compare it to, the one that's better is just better. And obviously, for any Puerto Rican viewers or people who know what I'm talking about Coquito. And Coquito is a typical Puerto Rican drink, usually done in Christmas time. And it's basically, I guess the best way to put this, it's coconut eggnog. And
yeah,
I don't know how to describe how freaking delicious Coquito is. I mean, go online, look up traditional Puerto Rican Coquito recipe. It's super easy to make. Make it yourself, and then let us know. Because, again, I can't put into words how good Coquito is and how versatile it is too. Eggnog is very basic in the sense that it's always the same, right? Maybe you'll have like these weird stores like Fred Meyer's and other stuff like that they'll have like pumpkin spice, or Trader Joe's, they'll have pumpkin spice eggnog.
Yeah.
But Coquito, the same with the flan, can be various flavors: pistachio, chocolate, coffee, you name it. Any of those like very milky type flavors, ice cream type flavors, you can get it. And it's ridiculously good, and it's super simple to make.
Yes, you can also, just like eggnog, you can have it virgin or non-virgin.
With rum, lots of rum. Wasted.
Which I'm pretty sure in eggnog, when they do not do a non-virgin one, they use Bailey's or something like that, something similar. Like a Bailey's, like something like that. When instead we use rum, which I know they don't use rum.
Yeah. But yeah, Coquito for me, that's another 5. Hands down, that's another 5.
Oh yeah, definitely. Can't go Christmas without it. Definitely can't go Christmas without it.
Anyways, that pretty much finalizes, this topic of typical U.S. Christmas dishes and typical Puerto Rican Christmas dishes. Hopefully, y'all learned a thing or two about our culture. And, maybe you went along with us and also rated the things that we were talking about. Maybe you were in agreement. Maybe you were in a disagreement. That's okay. That's the whole point of this, I guess.
And I do have to emphasize that this is our opinions. We are not saying anything about U.S. foods that they're bad or they're good or what Everyone has their opinion to it, and there's a lot of U.S. foods of Christmas that's really good. So
that's true, 100% true. Anyways, so as always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe on our video. It would help our channel out a lot, and we'd really appreciate it. Make sure to comment down below, what is your favorite Christmas dish? And if there are any Puerto Rican dishes that you didn't know about that you would think about trying.
Yeah, no, definitely. Try Coquito, guys. Good.
Try Coquito.
It's actually probably the simplest thing to make, too.
Believe me, trust me. You just go to your local supermarket. You'll get the ingredients. You're good to go. Just look it up. Look up the recipe. It's super easy.
All right.
All right. Well, as always, thank you so much for joining us in the ride today. Hopefully, you'll join us next time here in
The passenger seat.